Let's go ahead and give a big round of applause to Carlos Nieto III.
Hi, thank you everyone. Thanks for coming out in the heat. My name is Carlos. I've been doing this program for about 20 years around the country, in Los Angeles a little bit longer. And this started in the library system. There was a need for kind of a step-by-step process for learning how to draw anime characters. So I started kind of feeling that need in Los Angeles at the library systems out there. And then I started kind of expanding and coming out and traveling around the country. So I'm really excited to be here. This is my second to last location for the tour. So tomorrow, I'm going to be doing some other stuff and heading back home. So yeah, thanks again for coming out. So what we're going to do today is talk about how to make some creative decisions and how to think about designing your anime character from scratch. So we all have some kind of maybe some images in our minds about the kind of characters we might want to draw. If they have spiky hair, more wavy hair like Deku over here, things like that. So what we're going to do is think about how we're going to detail our character using like different types of mouths and noses and eyes to give our characters different emotions, different expressions. So what we're going to do first is take a look at our bookmarks that I gave you there. And for those of you who don't have any paper in front of you, there are paper in the middle of the table. You can grab some paper from the middle of the table, okay? So I'd like you, and we also have sharpeners on each table there. If you need to sharpen your pencil, you can just go ahead and sharpen it right there. Hi there, welcome. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about the mechanics of how our hands and joints and fingers and all that good stuff, how they move and how it helps us to draw. So many times when we draw I don't know if I need this because I usually draw with a dry erase board, so never mind. I don't need this right now. Okay, so many times when we are drawing, let's say, curves, we tend to do something like this where we use our fingers and curve like this, right? And we're kind of limited to this movement from here to here. So if we want to draw a really nice full curve, what we're going to do is pretend that our whole hand and wrist is a compass. So all it does is moves up and down like this. So almost as if you're like waving hello to someone and you put your pencil in there. So try that with your pencil if you're left or right-handed. Now, see if you can kind of put it sideways and do it sideways on your paper. So you're going to put maybe your palm on your paper or maybe pivot on your pinky, on your knuckle at your pinky. Use one of those points to kind of pivot up and down. Now, you should see this, a very smooth curve, just using your wrist. Notice I'm not using my fingers at all, only my wrist. And it's such a simple movement and it's so mechanical that you could probably go back up and down at the same curve just by tilting your wrist up and down a few times, right? So get used to that. If it feels a little wobbly or you're not certain about it, refocus your mind on thinking about only moving your wrist and nothing else. Hold everything else steady, okay? Here's how you use this. Once you have this, your part where you're pivoting here, where you're going up and down, this is the base of the radius, right? So if you pull your pencil further out, you have a wider radius with the exact same curve. And if you bring the pencil closer to your hand like this, you have a oops, that was a little bumpy, a little smaller radius like that, right? So you really start using the mechanics of your wrist and how it moves to create a nice big curve, right? If we had a board that was big enough for my whole arm, I could also do a very smooth curve with my elbow, because it's basically a hinge that comes up like that. If I had a big enough board here, I could use my shoulder and rotate it all the way around and draw a big circle, right? So this is kind of how the mechanics of our joints and parts of our bodies move to create these lines that we're going to draw. So practice a curve for a little while just to kind of warm up a little bit. If you're left-handed like me, your curves are going to be on this side of your paper because your curve only goes this way, right? This will come in handy in a little while. I'll show you how we're going to use this to kind of adjust or modify our drawings when we get started, okay? All right. And also, one more thing. You all have your bookmark there. Just remember your bookmark is made out of paper, so if you point your sharp pencil at it, it's just going to go underneath it. So when you draw a line, you point directly down at your table, and you just slide. And look at my arm. I'm pulling my whole arm towards my chest, right? Real simple movement, and it kind of gives you a more confident line. If you're going straight across, make sure your bookmark is under your line, right? So the line is above your bookmark so you can see above it. And then this time you're just going to drag your pencil across the edge and pull your arm outward, right, towards the edge of your paper. So you're kind of using your whole arm to draw instead of just your wrist, okay? All right. So I think everyone's here now. I think we're going to get started. All right, so what we're gonna do first is open up our folders. And we have a step-by-step guide inside the folders. I'm sorry I ran out of a few of them, but I'll walk you through them, no worries, okay? So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna start off, a lot of times when books or videos talk about drawing anime characters, they show something like this, where it's kind of like an egg shape for the face. But the thing is, this has a lot of variations to it, right? How big should the circle be? Where should it be? How long should it be? So instead of trying to draw an egg shape, we're going to simplify it and find a circle in that shape. And maybe find an intersection here in the middle where we can divide this line and this line and this line and this line into 4 separate lines. So now it becomes a little bit easier to start constructing the face, and we have a way to modify things, okay? So here's what we're going to do. If you have a character, let's say like Gon over here from Hunter, is it from Hunter x Hunter? If you have a character that you're envisioning with really spiky hair like this, right? We're gonna need our circle maybe at the middle of the paper, right? If we don't have spiky hair, just regular hair, we can probably move that circle up a little bit, right? Because we don't need that much space above it. So get your CD that's next to you, and you're gonna place your CD either in the middle, right? If you are envisioning spiky hair for your character, or up a little bit from the middle, just a little bit, okay? Go ahead and trace the outside of your CD. So here's my CD right here. And once you trace the outside of your CD, you're gonna make a dot right in the middle. So a small dot right in the middle, just so you know where the middle of that circle is, okay? By the way, this also works with any size circle you want. You can even use a water bottle cap, right? And you have a smaller circle. So get into the habit of using things that you have at your disposal to draw things that are, that might be a little bit challenging sometimes, or a little overwhelming, right? Okay. I'll show you another technique later on for freehanding a circle, but for now we're just gonna stick with this. The next thing we wanna do is get your bookmark, and you're gonna make a line straight down the middle of your circles. You're gonna place your bookmark. I'm left-handed, so I'm gonna put my bookmark on this side so I see the dot on the left side. If you're right-handed, you go this way and hold it here so you can see the dot on this side, right? What you wanna do is take a look at your bookmark on your paper. If it looks angled like this, slightly angled, you can tell when you step back or distance yourself, because when you see the whole picture from far away, your brain automatically compares these two lines with the edges, and it's not even for your brain, right? So your brain's gonna tell you it's a little bit off, it's a little angled. So then I can adjust it a little bit, move it over a little, and that looks a little bit better, right? So that's how we're gonna use our brains to tell us what we need to adjust little by little. If you get into this habit, your drawings are gonna come out a lot more proportional, and I think better looking the first time around, because then you don't have to go back and fix things, because you're adjusting as you go, okay? So everyone notice how long that line is, how far down it goes. Okay? Now, the next thing we're gonna do is talk about what we have. The top of the circle is the top of the head for your character. The sides of the circle here and here are your temples, right above your ears, okay? Now, the bottom of the circle here is actually going to be at your nose. So that circle represents this to this to this, a small circle, which means we have a line below the nose, the circle, right, down to the chin. So this length right here is about 2 inches if you use this size of a circle, right? If you don't have a ruler, it's okay, because before rulers, we use our hands and feet to measure things. So 3 fingers together is about 2 inches. You can test this out at home when you get a ruler. Use this as a measurement tool, and you're gonna place it under your circle, just like I'm showing you here. See that, under the circle? You can use your fingertips, which will be a little bit smaller distance, or your knuckles, which will be bigger, right? Small incremental changes. So go ahead and put about 3 fingers, and then make a dot under your 3rd finger. And that's a pretty good measurement for the chin length, okay? Now, if you want it a little bit shorter or longer, here's the difference. Here's one example. Oops, here's another example. If you have 2 identical characters, oops, right there, 1 and 2. And one has a, let me see, here's a 3 finger distance. If one has a, oops, longer chin and one has a shorter chin, right, from where they are. This is a little exaggerated. But once we add the jaw lines, which are going to come from the edges of the circle, we're going to go over all this in a second. And then your chin lines, you're going to have a younger looking character with a shorter chin. And with a longer chin, you're going to have an older looking character. See that? So you can start planning out the kind of age range of your character just by making that chin a little shorter or a little longer, okay? So wherever you have that chin, that dot, you can move it up a little bit or down a little bit, just a tiny little bit, okay? So make that decision now where you want that dot for the chin, okay? So mine's right there, about 3 fingers. I'm going to leave it there, okay? If you're, okay, thanks. Perfect. Thank you. Hi, folks. Thanks for joining. Oh. Okay. All right, thanks for your patience, everyone. We're going to get back into this real quick. The next 2 lines we're going to draw are going to be guidelines for your eyebrows and a guideline for your eyeballs. So I'm going to go back to these 2 drawings I created here. And I'm going to make a line right through the middle of the circle. So my goal for you all is to take all the guesswork out of it, right? So you know exactly where to place things, and then later on when you learn how to do it, you can kind of change it up and make your own decisions, right? So what you're going to do is first draw a line right through the middle of the circle. So right through that middle dot, horizontally. So it looks like a letter T and not a letter X. Then you can look at it from far away. The way you check your drawing now is like this. You hold it out at arm's length, far away from you like this, and you look at your drawing. And our brains are designed to pick out things that are different from other things, right? It picks out things that are different in patterns and when things are not equal. So that's what we're going to look for, making sure that all the lines are kind of equal, parallel to each other, perpendicular, things like that, okay? After you do this line for the eyebrows, we are going to draw one more line below that one, okay? This is going to be for our eyeballs. We have our line for our eyebrows and then a line underneath for our eyeballs. And that distance between those 2 lines is going to be 1 thumb distance. So put your thumb like this, and then make a dot. Put your thumb like that, and make a dot. That's going to be your eyeball line. Go ahead and draw a line through that dot. 1, and 1 right there. Good so far? Cool. All right, so my 2 lines are here and right around here. Good so far, everyone? Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line that's going to help us to decide the kind of shape of the face. And it's going to be specifically the jawbone. So the idea here is if you want to design a character with a higher jawbone, these bones back here are a little bit higher, then your chin is going to be more pointy and these are going to be shorter. If you have a longer or lower jawbone, these jaw lines are going to be longer and the chin is going to be more flat. So the idea is this, shorter jaw lines, and I'll show you how to get this in just a moment, and then a longer chin. That's going to be for a higher jawbone for your character. Oh, sorry about that. Telemarketers. Okay. And vice versa, if you have longer jaw lines here, you might have a shorter chin. So see the difference there? Longer on the edges, shorter at the bottom, shorter on the edges, and longer at the bottom. The difference is the angle changes between here and here at that corner right there, right? If you connect that corner across, it's right at the bottom of the circle, right? If you have a lower jawbone, that line can go more towards the middle of that line, right? So if you want this type of design here, you're going to put your line right here. If you want this type of design with this longer jaw line, then you're going to put your line maybe in the middle right there, okay? So make that decision. And again, if you don't have a preference, just put it anywhere you want. And then you'll be surprised at the results you get. I'm going to put mine a little bit below the circle. Go ahead and make this line a little bit longer on the edges than the two above him, okay? So these three lines are all parallel. You can check it. I have to check mine because this one looks like it's a little bit off here. Looks like the bottom line is too angled up on this side and angled down on this side. So watch how I'm going to adjust my drawing. Can you all see from where you're sitting on the board, can you see that this is a little bit angled, this line here? Okay, so what we're going to do for this line, to fix it, it's a little too high up on this side, so I need to bring it down a little bit on that side, and over here up a tiny little bit. That's all I have to do. Once I figure out where I need to move it, I just put a new line across there, and then erase what I don't need, and I'm going to check it one more time. So now it's a little bit better, right? So we're not looking for perfect, we're just looking for good enough so that we can kind of move on to the next step, okay? All right, so does everyone have a pattern or a drawing that looks like this right now? Pretty good? Okay, good. All right, and that's the beauty of this pattern. You can move things around, you can stretch the chin down, you can make the edges of the jaws wider or shorter, which we're gonna do next, okay? So right now we have a few options for our face here. We can draw a character's face that has more of a angled face, which would be here. You have your two lines across the circle here, and right in between them, on the edge of your circle, right in between here, on the edge of your circle, you're gonna bring a line either coming in a little bit, angled in on each side a little bit, like that. And then of course you're gonna check it to make sure that both of those angles are the same on both sides, right? They're symmetrical. The other option would be to bring those lines straight down on each side, like that, right? And they crisscross through that line we just drew. Your third option will be a character who is very strong, has a very broad jaw, and for that you might bring that line from the edge here of the circle out a little bit, like that. See the difference there? So one of these goes in, the other ones go straight down, and the other ones come out. So decide where you want to do that. Make sure both of them look the same, whichever angle you do, make sure it looks the opposite, the reflection on the other side, okay? Does that make sense to everyone? If you're not sure, let me know, ask me any questions, and maybe I can help to clarify, okay? So you guys get to decide how you want to draw those lines. See if you can draw straight lines. Unless you're a little bit more advanced, you can draw those curved lines, go ahead and do that. But for now, let's try to stick with the straight lines, and I'll show you how to curve everything in just a moment, okay? So once we have this here, the next step is to get your eraser and start erasing all the extra lines on the edges that we don't need here. So we just have our intersection of this line and this line creating a corner and a corner, right? All right. If you guys are ready for the next step, we are going to connect the dots. Everyone's done some connect the dots before, right? We're going to get these two corners and bring them both down to the chin, that dot that you drew for the chin. Both of those corners are going to come down to that dot. So this corner down to this dot, down to there. This one down to this dot at the chin, back up to the other side. And now we have three different shapes of faces, right? All with different jaw lines. Okay? All right. So once we've created the shape of the face, we're going to erase one line. The line we just drew that goes across under the circle, this one here, let's get rid of that line here. So that helps us to open up the whole bottom of the face where we can start putting in the mouth for our character. So on my drawing up here, I'm going to put in my two jaw lines, slightly angled in here, and the opposite way. I might turn it upside down so it's easier for me to look at it, and I can angle it. Oh, you know what I can do? I can cheat. Once I have one length here, I mark off where that measurement is, and I move that measurement over to the middle, and just make a dot on the other side, right? So I kind of cheating a little bit, but it works, you know? Let me see if it works. Hopefully it does. Oh, no, it didn't work. Oh, you know why? Because I think this line is a little bit too angled out. So that may need to come in a little bit here. And then this one will be around there. So there it'll be in a little bit more. So small adjustments make a big difference sometimes. And if you think about your drawing not as making mistakes on your drawing, but adjustments, right? Because when you think about mistakes, it has a kind of bad feeling to it. Like there's a lot of judgment in there. But if you think about adjusting your drawing, you're just working on your drawing, right? There's no mistakes. So think about it that way. You're adjusting it as you go until you're done with it, okay? Once you have something like this, go ahead and connect them. And if it doesn't turn out great, you know what? You can always do another drawing, and that's how you practice and get better and start developing your own personal style as an artist to make more and more decisions, right? All right. So this character would be like a Pokemon character with the corners here on the jaw and the chin, right? And if, let's say we wanted more of a rounded, curved jaw like One Punch Man or Naruto, one of those types of characters, we could do this. Who's right-handed here? Raise your hand if you're right-handed. Almost everyone. So I'm going to start with my right hand. What you're going to do is you're going to find your jawline and find the middle of it right there. And then find the middle of your chin line. It doesn't have to be perfect, but pretty close, okay? So I should have started off with an easier way to do that. The easiest way to do this is to place your CD right in between those two lines. So you see the corner of that edge sticking out, and you curve the edge of your CD, right? That's a small curve on each side. If you want a wider, bigger curve, you're going to do this technique where you make the dot in the middle of each line. Then you place your hand, it's on number 2 on your bookmark, that technique, and you see if you can kind of pivot back and forth using your wrist, that technique I showed you. And look what I'm doing. I'm turning my paper to match the curve of my wrist, so I don't have to turn this way or this way, right? So I'm keeping it nice and even in the middle. So if I can touch these dots, first I'm going to practice. If I can touch that dot and move my wrist up and touch the other one, I'm a little short. So I'm going to tilt my paper a little bit more. Now I can touch that one and that one. Now I can touch both of them, right? 1 and 2. Once you can do that, you can place your pencil down, raise your wrist up. Nice smooth curve between those two lines. Erase that edge. And then you can kind of touch it up, you know, blend in all those lines. For the other side, since our hand only moves this way, how can I do this curve if my hand only goes this way? Any thoughts? Turn it around. Flip your paper all the way upside down. Find the same exact points on the same exact lines on the other side. Exact movement with the exact same hand, and you have curved both sides of your character's face. Or you can practice with both hands. And then, of course, you can look at it again from a distance to check one more time. Make sure you like the way that the curves go. I think the way I measured out mine was a little bit different. So this one could probably go in more. I can bring it in like this. So I'm using the technique with my other hand now, right? And that's all this is. It's a work in progress. It's not a perfect thing. It starts looking perfect when you're almost done. All right. For the chin, nothing too special. You could just erase the chin if it's too pointy for your taste, and you could just curve it across like that, right? You could put a little cleft chin there for your character if you want, or flatten out the chin, however you want to do that. Okay? All right. So the next thing we're going to do is start on some visual notes. So we're going to take out a second blank paper. And what I'd like you to do on that paper is draw a big number 11 with your bookmark. So like this. One here. One there. All right, so now we're going to get into some really cool techniques. By the way, all of these techniques that we're going to learn right now are in most of the mangas that you can get at the library here. So maybe after the program, you can check out some manga. You can take them home and look at them and maybe pick out some techniques that you can use, the way those actual artists draw them. Okay? Sorry, let me get my pencil sharpened a little bit. Okay, So the first mouth I'm going to show you how to draw is going to be something like this. It's a straight line that goes across here, and then a short line underneath for the bottom lip. That expression right there for the mouth is basically no expression. It's a blank expression. It might go from the circle to the chin right in the middle here. Look at that, blank expression for your character, okay? The easiest way to turn this into a smile is to add the edges going up at an angle. So you have your middle line, and now we're modifying it. We're actually, changing the way it goes up and down, bring it up on the edges. And then you could even put a little cheek dimple, a little curve at the top of each of these lines. And then a little bottom lip right there, right? So what we're doing is we're trying to find the easiest way to show what happens in real life, but on paper, okay, with just a few lines. The next thing we're going to do is think about bending the middle line of our smile. So far, the smile has 3 lines, 1 in the middle, 2 on the edges. Bend the middle one up. What does that look like? Like maybe a W, right? So let's try a W for the next mouth. And now we have a new mouth for our character, maybe a little cat mouth. So think of your character with this kind of a mouth. Something like that. And if you round out those corners, so instead of a W with corners, it's a wavy W, we now have Avatar, Last Airbender's mouth. A wavy W. Right there. See that? So these 3 mouths have the same look. They're all positive because the edges go up. So how do we get the opposite of each of those 3 mouths? We flip them each upside down, right? So the smile, you start with that line, bring the edges down. Whose mouth is this? That's right, Captain Levi from Attack on Titan. Something like that, right? Then we have the W upside down, turns into a letter M. We add some little edges at the outside edges of that letter M coming up just a little bit. You draw another letter M above that, coming down, shaded in. And the bottom lip this time is going to be a very low line way down here, and it curves up towards the edges here and here. You could put a little shape under it, shadow it in for like the shadow under the bottom lip. And now we have a mouth that's similar to a character from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, if you guys are familiar with that manga, okay? The next one we're going to draw is a letter W upside down, which will be a rounded M. Another type of scowl for your character. If you guys are familiar with Eren Yeager, this is Eren Yeager's mouth from Attack on Titan. Another rounded M above that. Color that in. Same idea as the previous one. And again, the bottom lip, nice big curve all the way down here. We have a pouty mouth, right? If you want to put those cheek dimples underneath the lines, we're going to get the opposite result. Now, our character is going to look like they're pouting a little bit. Okay? So with just a few little lines here and there, you can really make some big changes in your drawing. These 3 have the same look. They're all negative in nature, right? So we're adding different types of mouths to our, memory toolbox for how we draw different types of mouths, okay? If you want a side smile, let's say like a smirk, you could take that first line and tilt it. And then the part that's higher up, you can maybe draw another line that comes up a little bit further up, and then a cheek dimple, and then put a bottom lip under there, straight across. Now we have a little bit of a smirk, a little attitude for our character. Okay. So that might look like this one here. And you can even bring the other side up if you want to. Just a little bit, it'll change it like that, okay? Cool. Now the next mouth we're gonna draw is gonna be an open mouth with the teeth showing like this, closed. So the easiest way to draw an open mouth, instead of a line, is to create a shape, right? With the top of the mouth, bottom of the mouth, and the sides. So what shape would that be? If you have the top and the bottom of the mouth, and the edges are happy going this way, what shape is that called? Someone said it? Trapezoid, with the top line longer, bottom line shorter, which makes the edges come up and out, making it look happy. That's the pattern for a happy looking mouth, right? We go ahead and put in a teeth line right through the middle of the mouth. You could draw that maybe as a straight line like this. That's totally fine. If you want to add a little bit more detail, maybe you can draw the straight line, but then on the edges, add a zigzag line like a W. Looks a little bit more complex, right? We can continue that zigzag line all the way through the mouth, and now we have teeth more like Chainsaw Man style, right? If you guys are familiar with that. You can also round out those teeth. Oops. Like that. And then finally, if you're like me and saw anime in the 80s, you might have remembered a row of plus signs for teeth. Right, so it looks like our character is really smiling, really wide like that, showing their teeth in the middle, okay? One more thing we're going to put in there is a greater than and a less than sign from math. And we're going to draw it like this. We're going to start from the top of the mouth, whichever line is longer. We start from the either top or the bottom of the mouth. Start from the top of the mouth on the edge here, not at the corner, but over here on the edge. You come in like a greater than sign, touch the teeth line, and come back out like a greater than sign. See that? And then shade in the rest of that space on the outside of there. So now it looks like you can kind of see into the edge of the mouth on one side, right? Then we do the same thing on the other side, the opposite way, less than sign. Color that in. And the beauty of sketching and shading is you can really create an illusion of something coming towards you or away from you just by shading a few lines. So watch this. I'm going to compress lines like this. I'm going to start off compressing the lines, making them really close together, and then spread them out a little bit as I go this way. So watch what I'm going to do. Really small. And then on the bottom here. And then on this side. And now it starts looking like the teeth are rounding out from the edges into the middle of the mouth right there. See that? So it looks a little bit more 3D. And you can really start creating these awesome types of designs. Now this mouth could be perfect for a character like this guy right here. If you guys are familiar with this character here. All right? Perfect for Naruto. So that's how you use that pattern to create that actual result, right? How do we get an angry growl? Arr! What do? We just flip the trapezoid upside down. So let's try that next. And now that you guys are familiar with the pattern, you can start, taking some chances with it, exploring a little bit. What if we, instead of the corners, what if we erase the corners and curve those corners instead of having them pointy? We've just modified the shape a little bit, right? Then what we're going to do is start with the bottom teeth first. We're going to start off, I'm sorry, no, we're not doing that mouth yet. I jumped ahead to the open mouth, sorry. What we're going to do is put in your teeth lines again. Maybe this time I'll do the zigzag lines all the way across here. And then put in my greater than sign and my less than sign, this time starting from the bottom of the mouth. Shade it in. Put in some shadows on the edges of your teeth coming in towards the middle. And now this character is super angry. Like that, right? So you start creating that kind of look for your character. This one here, we're going to bring it down, add some open teeth and the tongue in the middle. So what we're going to do is put in the top of the greater than sign and the top of the less than sign up here, and just the top of them. And then we're going to connect them across, and that's going to be your top row of teeth right there, right? Then across your mouth, you're going to use that movement of your wrist if you want, and make that curve across. Then you're going to shade in the space in between the teeth and the tongue. So we're creating another illusion of a character that's yelling, laughing out loud. Look how happy this character looks here. Right? Super duper happy. Okay? This would be more for like Sailor Moon, Pokemon style, right? And then this one here, we're going to have some fun with this one here. We're going to put in the angry mouth, basic angry mouth. And then, let's say I'm going to put my eyes above each corner here and here, right? That's my character's eyes, and they're angry. And this time what I'm going to do is put in your teeth line here and here at the bottom of the mouth, and then go across. That's your bottom row of teeth. And then the top, you're going to see the teeth going across, but you won't see the edges. It just goes straight across. And then your tongue is in between the edges of your teeth on both sides, so you're going to draw your tongue from inside of this edge and on the inside of this edge. And instead of a curve, maybe this time we'll draw like a letter M. And then again, shade in the whole area between the top row of teeth and the tongue. Now it looks like your character's yelling. They're super angry, right? What if we replace the top line of the mouth with a rounded M from that pattern that we did earlier, this rounded M right here? Can you see that? Okay. So if we did that, we would go up, and down. And then even the bottom we can replace with a rounded W. Now it looks like your character's yelling a little bit more, right? So it kind of changes it a little bit. What if we want to exaggerate this mouth so much that they're yelling and they're kind of pushing their eye up with their cheek because they're so angry? We're going to bring this corner here up, maybe up to here, under the eyeball. And then reconnect it to this side using that rounded M. And then this line, instead of coming here, it would come from out here now. Then I have to erase the top of the mouth that I don't need anymore. That's how you start adjusting your drawing. And then adjust this corner here. What do I have to do? Maybe bring the edge of the mouth out, and maybe now I can see this edge that comes up a little bit right there. Color in this last little bit over here on the outside to blend it in with the rest of the mouth. Now in this big open area here, we have gums in here, so you can draw gums like bumps that go across. So 1, 2, 3. And then we can cut off the bottom of the eye, which I'll show you a technique for that in a little while and how that works. And even put in a little curve above your lip. Now it looks like your character's really yelling, like because they're super angry, right? So you can really play around with the emotion of your character just by kind of changing things around. And I feel like once you learn how this works, you have a little bit more confidence to kind of go in and erase and change things. Because a lot of times the uncertainty of how things are done, we don't really try, right? So experiment with it. It's only a drawing. You can always erase it and try it again, okay? Maybe 1 or 2 more mouths. If you want to draw a mouth of your character, maybe a sly smile, someone from Jujutsu Kaisen, maybe Sukuna, I think is his name. You can draw which one was it? This mouth here, and then above it, a rounded W. So it's going to be a little wider. And you want to try and center it in the middle of the circle and the chin, and also the 2 edges of the face right there, right? So this is where you want to keep checking your drawing, look at it from far away, make sure things look okay. Rounded W right here, very wide. And then the edges up here, I'll bring up a little bit more, I'll exaggerate them, and then put in a cheek dimple way up here. And then right here, I'm going to put in your teeth lines, and then the greater than and less than signs. Okay? Good so far? All right, let me know if anyone has any questions. I'm going to shade in a little bit here, and next we're going to move on to the nose. By the way, how many first-time artists do we have here? A few? Cool. How do you guys feel about your drawing so far? Good. Yeah? Cool. Awesome. You're not sure so far? Maybe when we put some more details in there, you take a look again. All right, so now that we have the mouth in place, the next thing we're going to do is put in the nose. And if you remember, we said the nose goes at the bottom of the circle. Now, sometimes, if you have a shorter chin like this character, you may not have enough room down here for the mouth. So you might want to make the mouth real big and just go over the circle, right? And that's totally fine. In this case, instead of putting the nose here, you'd make just the nose above your mouth, right? Just kind of follow that rule of thumb. But if you have your mouth here, normally your nose will start around there somewhere at the bottom of the circle, okay? The easiest way to start your nose is to draw a letter V. Like this. That's a good way to draw a nose. It's simple. Like that, okay? It could be wide or narrow, it's up to you. The next thing we can do is draw a line across the top of that letter V, make it into a triangle, color all that in. That is a simplification of the whole shadow area from one side of your nostril to the other underneath. It's like really simplifying it. So that might look like this. And that looks pretty good too. The next thing we can do is find a dot on this line between here and here. So right in the middle, right around there somewhere. And then bring a line down from that dot to one side of the triangle and color that in. So now we have a Goku, Dragon Ball Z type of nose. Like that. Okay. Now if we flip that upside down, and that long triangle that comes down, we push it up, it looks like a diamond with one side cut out. So think of a diamond with one side cut out. So maybe you can erase maybe this side here. And then color in these 3 triangles that are left over. And now we have a My Hero Academia type of nose like that. Okay. And now if you want to draw nostrils for your nose, let me draw the My Hero Academia nose for this character. It's going to be pretty small. Oops, not too big. So something like this. 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Okay. If you want nostrils, we can start with your letter V like this. Curve the edges over. And then go back and erase the middle of your letter V. Look how perfectly those are placed on each side now, right? So you have your 2 nostrils on both sides. Again, this is the easiest way to draw it in there. Once you get used to it, you can make the nostrils, wider, more narrow, curving down more, right? You can design it a little bit better. Now, who's familiar with Avatar: Last Airbender? So if you want an Avatar nice little button nose for your character, what we're going to do is start off with the nostrils. So 1 nostril here, 1 nostril here. And instead of the letter V in the middle, we're going to use a letter U that curves across like this. And then on either side of the nostrils, we have the puffy part of our nostrils. So we're going to make a curve on the outside of the nostril here, on the outside of the nostril on the other side. And then another curve like this, but upside down, way up here, like the top of a circle. It doesn't have to touch, but as long as it curves up over. Now you have a little button nose for your character. See that? Okay. So that would be something like this. 1, 2, nostril, nostril, and the curve up there, like that. And a more traditional anime nose might be a combination of the letter V on one side and the nostril, only the nostril on the other side. And from the letter V, you would draw a line all the way to the next intersection, but not through the middle, but over to the side a little bit. So right around here. So you curve all the way up to there. Once you erase the line through the middle of your nose, the guideline, we're done with that. You can also erase the bottom of your circle from one side of the face all the way to the other side. Now look at that. We have a little bit more detail showing up. We're getting rid of the guidelines, and our character is starting to kind of appear a little bit. Okay? If you want to put a little shadow on this nose that you have, something like this, you can imagine the curve that goes over the nostril, and it dips down into the middle and back up to the other side. And then underneath the nose, it comes down and up, and then shade in lightly. And now you have a more realistic shadow under the nose with the nostril showing here, and maybe the edge of the letter V right there. Okay? So again, if you want to check out different ways of drawing noses from the actual manga, definitely check them out after the program, and then you can kind of, at your own leisurely time, figure out how those artists draw those things. Okay? All right. Everyone good with the nose so far? All right, good. Thumbs up. I like thumbs up. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is work on the eyes. So for the eyes, I'm going to show you where to find the eyeballs and then how to place them in there. So what I want you to do is focus on this line here that I'm showing you with the pencil. This line on your drawing, find that line from the edge of the circle to the middle, okay? And I want you to see if you can pinpoint the middle of this line, okay? Maybe somewhere around here somewhere. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's close enough. Another easy way to find the middle is to sketch a light line from corner to corner to make like an X. Once you do that, you can find the middle of the X and just bring that dot down to that line there underneath, okay? So whichever way is easier for you. And again, a good way to pinpoint where something is to hold out your drawing at arm's length, and your brain instantly pinpoints the middle of that line. All right, so I'm going to do that. Probably around there somewhere. So your drawing should look something like this, okay? I like how intently everyone's drawing, making decisions. Very cool. All right, we talked a little bit about drawing circles earlier, and I was going to talk about drawing freehand circles. So if you brush your teeth, I hope all you do, you hit that circle movement that you go this way when you brush your teeth, or this way if you make those circular movements right there. That movement is up in here in your shoulder, right? And if you focus your shoulder muscle doing that movement and you turn your toothbrush position into a pencil position, lay that on your paper, so your arm is just doing what your shoulder is moving, right? So it's just kind of extending the movement of your, there you go, extending the whole movement of your shoulder. And think about small circles. Think about making your muscle do a smaller movement of that circle. So nothing in your wrist, nothing in your elbow, everything is in your shoulder, and you start doing this. and I'm gliding over my paper very softly. I'm not putting any weight on my paper. And I'm gliding over it so the pencil doesn't touch. Once I'm comfortable with that circle movement, I can kind of see it, I can just lay my pencil down. And it might look a little messy at first, but if you keep doing it, you can start getting better at it, like that. The other way, opposite way, this way. And you can't tense up. You have to really loosen up your whole arm, but have your focus on your shoulder. Now, let me show you something interesting. Because the mechanics of how our body is formed, this movement is more natural for us, right? And this movement is a little bit more awkward because we're using our back muscles a little bit differently. So if I'm left-handed and I'm focusing my shoulder this way and I'm making movements in all different directions, up, sideways, down, right? If I focus my muscle, I'm really controlling that circle. If I don't focus, my arm is going to want to go out and in because that's more natural. And this is not natural. So it's going to go the easiest pathway possible out like this. So I'm going to be naturally drawing an oval. Here's the middle of this, the middle of the circle here. Focusing. Now I'm not going to focus. And look how my circle goes, right? Like an oval this way and this way. It's just an interesting way that our bodies are kind of, formed. So if I use my right hand and I'm focusing on my circle, this is a little bit more difficult because I'm left-handed. I'm struggling a little bit, but then once I let go, I start making that oval at an angle. So it's an interesting thing. So now you can make ovals just by relaxing your shoulder and drawing a circle, right? Something like that. So I have some videos on YouTube that kind of talk about more about this, okay? If you want to try drawing your freehand circle, go ahead and start making that motion. And you can even bounce your hand up and down as you're doing those round motions, so you have your oval now. I kind of use my pinky to kind of lean the pencil in. So I'm balancing on my pinky, and then when I'm comfortable, I kind of just bring the pencil down and draw into there like that. And then easier than that, you can use the small circle in the middle of your CD and trace in your circles, or a bottle cap here, or if you have a coin in your pocket, you can use any of those things to trace in your circles. And you're going to want to put your circles under your line, okay? So one circle here, and one circle here. And once you're done with your eyeballs, let's erase the eyeball line. All right, I'm going to walk around real quick, make sure everyone's doing okay. Looking good. Just make sure that they are under the line. No worries, it's good. Very good. That looks amazing. Ooh, I like that. That's so cool. These are looking really good. Oh my gosh, very cool. Beautiful. Nice mouth. Oh yeah, and when you're done with the nose, erase the whole bottom of the circle. Okay. Oh, beautiful. Very cool. Nice. I like those teeth. Those are cool, those sharp teeth. I like that. Really? That looks super cool. Yeah, right? It's a little easier. That's cool. I like that. Perfect. That's awesome. I like that too. Take a look at yours a little bit. I think maybe one of those eyes might be a little too far out compared to the other one. So look at it from far away just to see, okay? So look at it from far away and then ask yourself, just hold it out in front of you so you can see it from far away. Ask yourself, which eyeball is further out, the left or the right eyeball? There you go. See, so you start checking it and you can move things around, and I guarantee you, by the time you're done with it, it's going to look awesome. But this is a good habit to get into. Check your drawing as you go, right? If any of you are interested in getting into maybe working as a career, as an artist, this is going to help you a lot because you're always working on your drawings, always checking them. You're going to get to the point where you almost don't have to make adjustments because you can almost draw things the way you envision it, you know? Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about are the eyeball designs. So I'm going to show you a way that I plan out my eyeball design. This is a good technique if you want to try it at home, or you can try it here also. You can get your line straight across, maybe a few of them, just for practice. And then you're going to place your hand in the middle. Maybe where your fingers meet your palm, right there. And this is a pretty good distance for your eyes, right? And then go ahead and put your coin or your CD circle under each. water bottle container, sorry. And maybe some ovals here. Okay. So the pattern for the eyeball is going to go down diagonally across the eyeball, this direction or the other direction, like that. Let me cushion this paper a little bit. And the pattern is going to be at least, 2 shapes, maybe 3 shapes. The idea of the shapes is that they are the glare from where the light is hitting your eyeball. So if you have like a sun over your eyeball or a light, it's going to create a glare on one corner. So we can use that direction to show the corner at the top. And at the bottom corner, we can use a smaller shape to show a smaller reflection of, or not reflection, glare from the light. So this is like secondary light that bounces at the bottom corner of your eyeball. Okay? Then we can shade in the whole eyeball around there. And in the middle, we can go ahead and put in some shape in the middle for the pupil. So 3 shapes all together. See that? And then if you press a little harder at the top and shade down and get lighter as you go down, you start making it look like it's more 3D, more glossy. It gives it a unique look, like that. Okay. There's another approach to this. Let's try the opposite angle. So you make your first shape up here. I'm going to use a triangle. Maybe the second shape would be a little diamond down here. And you can change these around. They don't have to be exactly diagonal. You can make one at the bottom or on the side. And then maybe the one in the middle, I'll just draw separately from everything else right there. Color that in. And then you're going to draw a curve across the eyeball. See that I'm drawing the curve across the whole eyeball, 1 and 2. Then color everything in above that curve solid. And then below, you're going to draw a little lighter. So it's the same type of look as this eyeball, but a different approach. And this is, I think, a little bit easier because you don't have to, blend so much. Okay. So you have something like that. Okay. And then, of course, you have your Pokemon-style eyeball, a nice big curve on the corner, a little eyeball underneath it, or pupil underneath it. And the curve here should color this a little darker and color this a little bit lighter. So again. Oh, sure. Sorry about that. There you go. Thank you. So you have your curve up here, your pupil underneath, and then your curve that goes through there. Everything above there, darker, even the pupil, and then the bottom a little lighter, like that. Okay. So let's go ahead and put in the details for your eyeballs. You can do a cool Sharingan eyeball. Something like this. Something like that, right? So you can kind of create the type of eyeball you want. Let's say you want a Demon Slayer eyeball. You might even do something like a hexagon or octagon, and then your shape in the middle. And this would be more like Tanjiro's eye. Okay, cool. So if anyone has any questions, let me know. And remember to erase the line once you're done. All right. So now we're going to work on the eyelids. So for the eyelids, what we're going to do is draw one line at the top of the eyeball, one line at the bottom. The one on top is a little longer, the one at the bottom a little bit shorter. Watch how I do it first, and you'll start picking up this pattern here. So the first eyelid would be at the top one. It could be a curve or a straight line. And we'll call that line number 1. Then I'm going to skip down to the bottom, and this is going to be line number 5 here. Okay. Then in the middle, between the eyelids, you're going to have this line that comes down towards your tear duct in the middle. This little curved line, that could be line number 2. Okay. Then we're going to go to the outside of the top of your eyelid and bring it out further, extend it out. That's line number 3. Now between 3 and 5, one more line. It can connect all the way like this, or it could just go up to here somewhere. It's up to you, short or longer. And that could be line number 4. You have 5 lines right there. If we have more emotion, what starts happening? Our eyelids start separating from our eyeballs, right? So line number 1 this time, if you have more emotion, can be above your eyes. And line number 5, floating under your eyes. It almost looks like it has more emotion already. Number 2, right here on the inside, same thing right up here. Bring them in on the inside, number 2. Just a little bit, okay? Where does line number 3 go? On the outside of your eyelids, extend it out. This time you can change the direction, bring it down a little bit if you want, or you can keep it going straight. It's up to you. Line number 4, right in between there, coming down. So if you think about drawing one side first and the other side second, you're kind of bouncing back and forth, right? Your brain is kind of comparing things as you go, okay? Now, what if we go the opposite way? And we want someone who's kind of like closing their eyelids, right? Because they're angry or sleepy or upset. We can actually bring the top line, instead of touching the eye, we can bring it down so it cuts off the top of the eyeball like this. Then the line number 5, up just a little bit, not too much. Then in this case, we're going to erase everything above that line and everything below the bottom line here. And it looks like that character's kind of like squinting a little bit, right? Line number 2, bring it in on the inside here. Line number 3 on the outside. This time I'm going to keep it the same direction and just bring it straight out. And then 4 comes down to the bottom line. So you have 3 different expressions for your character. Okay. Another few things we're going to put on there to make it look more like a real anime character is this. So far, what we've been working with for the eyeball has just been the iris, the little part in the middle. But we still have a full eyeball behind there, right? So this is the iris right here, but then there is actually a full eyeball behind the eyelid right here, right? So to show that there's a full eyeball, all we're going to do is draw over this curve here and then erase all that. So now we have a line that goes over each eyelid, and it kind of grounds the character, makes it look a little bit more realistic. Sometimes if you're familiar with My Hero Academia, like Ochako is a character on there, and she has that curve on the inside of her eyes, right here and right here only, right? 2 little bumps on the inside. And sometimes if you close your eyelid, that curve is going to be higher up because there's more distance between your eyelid and that bump. So that line you can draw higher up, like that. So this is not the eyebrow, this is just that little line that shows that there's an eyeball inside there, okay? After you do this, let's start adding some things that make your character look more original. Maybe some freckles. You can design a pattern for your freckles. My Hero Academia style, like this. Maybe some freckles above your nose, something like that. Okay. Let me get another pencil. This one just broke too. I thought we were doing this in hour 15 minutes. I'm so sorry about that. Oh. No, it's okay, Oh, I'm so sorry about that. So, yeah, if we can. Okay, thank you so much, appreciate it. Okay, all right, so the next thing we're gonna do is maybe if you wanna put a cool scar on the character's face like that, or maybe a scar coming up like that, right? You can kind of have some fun with that design too, okay? All right, so let's put in the details for the eyelids. You can put eyelashes. You can make them thicker, thinner. Like that, okay? All right, so I'm going to put in my details and a few more things, and we're just about done. So my eyelids I'm going to put here, 1, and then do the opposite. So I'm kind of bouncing back and forth. Number 2, 3, 4. And it gets to the point where you could just design it and kind of have fun with it, not worry so much about the results because you're kind of familiar with the process now. Now with the eyebrows, we're going to put that on this last line that we have that goes across. We can put it regular expression from here coming up and out. And then you can color it in thicker on the inside and thinner on the outside. And if you erase that line, it looks like this now. So you have a really nice expression for your character. If you want to make it more angry on one side, you can actually anchor that line out to here and bring it down, touching the inside of the eyelid, and then bring it up here like a check mark. And then draw this line a little bit thicker like that. So that gives it a more unique kind of look, right? And if you bring the other side down, same way, now you have someone who's maybe mischievous. Something like that. Okay? And of course, if you erase that mouth and put in a frown, you're going to have a character who's just maybe upset. Right? So you can really play around with that, okay? All right, so let's put in the eyebrows. These are looking amazing. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is put in some ears. So for the ears, what we want to do is think of drawing half of a heart. So we're going to draw a half of a heart on this side from this line down to here, from this line here down to here. So top of the eyeball and the bottom of the nose. You want to make a little line on the outside of the face. So those are the guidelines. So you draw half of a heart. So you start from under that line, come up, touch the top, curve it around, down to the bottom like that. Same thing on this side, the opposite way, half of a heart. If you want to draw the earlobes, we can erase the very bottom of the heart and curve them up like this. And on the inside, let's think about maybe drawing a letter S on the inside of the ear or a letter E. So watch this. You could draw a letter S like this and the opposite letter S, number 2. Or you could also draw a letter E and on the other ear a number 3. Okay. And then where we're going to draw is a curve on the outside of the ear here and a little curve here. Right on the outside of that shape, and it looks like that little part of the cartilage where you put the Q-tip in there like that, okay? All right, so now that we have our ear there, if you want to make a cool elf ear or alien ear, we can pull this top of the ear out. The bottom can meet up with it up here, and then the letter 2 or letter S can go up to the edge, and just erase the outside of the ear. And now you have your cool elf ear, alien ear, like that, right? All right. Now we're going to work on the neck. Oh, sorry, is everyone caught up already? Let me know if you're caught up or okay. Thumbs up, thank you. Okay. So for the neck, just remember we're working with 2 lines, one line here, one line here. The closer the neck lines are to each other, the more petite your character is going to look. Very petite like this, right? Versus if you have a wider neckline over here by the ears, look how strong that character looks now with the shoulder lines. Like a real muscular character, right? So you can change the kind of physique of your character, okay? So go ahead and put the necklines where you want. If you want them somewhere in the middle, not too strong, not too petite, you can put each line under each eyeball. So under the eyeball, that's where you put that. So right here, here's your eyeball. Down to your chin and bring it down. Same thing on the other side. And there's your neck for your character. Don't go too far below the chin. You want to stop just under the chin, or else you have a really long neck. Unless you want to design your character with a long neck, then that's totally fine. Once you have your necklines on both sides, we're going to transition to your shoulder lines. Not the curve of your shoulders, but just the whole line. So this comes down at an angle downhill off to the edge of your paper. Maybe at the very edge of your paper, you can start curving it down right there. See that? And then you can put a letter V or a letter U across the neck for a collar. All right. Thanks everyone for hanging out. We're in the home stretch. So when you use this pattern, maybe next time you use it, it's going to be a little bit more familiar. Then the third time, fourth time, fifth time you use this pattern to draw your characters, it's going to become a lot easier. You could probably anticipate the next few steps and skip some steps. And it'll get to the point where you can just start designing it without really planning it. And that's when you start coming up with some really original designs and styles, right? Here's my other character. We're going to start putting in the hair next. Okay, so for long hair or short hair, we're going to start the same way. We're going to make a dot at the top of each ear, come up and around the circle. This is your hairline on the outside, right? For short hair, same idea. And what makes it long or short is the back of the hair after it passes below the ears. If it's short hair, it's going to come out right here, behind your ears, into your neck. Short hair, right? Long hair. Behind your ears, pops out over here, over your shoulders. You can kind of blend them in so it looks like that, right? So the next thing we want to do, so we've taken care of the top of the hair, we've taken care of the sides and the back of the hair, right? Here or here. The next thing we're going to do is put in some bangs. So I'm going to start with the long hair first, and then we'll end off with the short hair design, okay? So here's what we're going to do. For long hair, if you want to draw the part that goes all the way across your head, kind of like this, and then kind of parts across like this, what you can do is start off with a curve from the top of one ear over to the other side and draw spikes that go up. One in the middle, maybe one over here that curves over. Make them bigger, smaller, as many as you want, or as few as you want. Once you're done, you can erase the bottom of each of those spikes, and then the other lines that are still connected makes it look like the hair is parting all the way across. See that? Now, if you want to draw bangs on the sides covering your ears, what you're going to draw is one line in front of the ear, right here, in the middle, straight through, and when you cross over the shoulder, you curve in a little bit. Same thing on the other side, bring it down, and curve when you cross over the shoulder. Then you're going to draw a line on the inside of there, right next to the eyelid, right here and right here. Don't worry about what you cut off, just go ahead and draw right through it. All the way down, bring it down. Other side, bring it down to the other side right here. Then you go back and erase everything between those two lines, and now you have a bang in front of each ear. So if you think about this drawing as a working drawing, you can always take it home with all these erase marks and everything, put a new paper on top of it on a window, and trace over a new, complete, finished drawing, right? We can also start getting rid of this circle, the top of the circle, because right now it looks like our character has a headband on. So what we're going to do is erase the top of that circle, and we are going to curve these lines here for the bangs up a little and curve them in towards the middle a little bit, right here and right here. So it kind of blends in with these lines that are curving. If you want to draw another type of part that parts out to both sides, you can actually draw a dot in the middle here, bring it down under this part and down under this part of the hair. Then you bring a line straight up, erase the very top here, and curve that line over to this side and over to the other side. Now you have two complete pieces of hair that you can start, detailing with lines. And back here you can start shading in darker. Doing this will push the hair in the back, push it back visually so it looks like it's behind everything. It looks more 3D. Now if you want to draw one more style of hair for long hair, Sakura from Naruto, where the hair pops up and then down. And we're going to replace this with a letter M, two letter M's. One that starts at the dot and comes up, and over to this curve, up and over to the other curve here. You can erase what you don't need. And then another letter M above it to the outside. And then in the middle here, this big open area here, we have our eyebrows here. We have this hairline that comes through the middle of your forehead. Usually the middle of the forehead is right here. It usually curves or angles up to the outside and then down to the ears. So we just bring it up and up like this. And then shade in everything inside of here so it looks like the hair from your hairline underneath before it parts over. Like that. And you could draw one in the middle, like a loose piece of hair hanging out right there. Okay? All right, so for short hair, we're going to add, let me move this over here so you can still see it. For short hair, we're going to use a few different types of hairstyles. You can use the spikes that would come out and in. You can change the direction of the spikes, bring it back to the guideline always, right? Now we have a cool Super Saiyan character. And in the middle, we'd have this brow line again for the hair. So instead of a rounded curve, we'd make a point in the middle. So it looks like this, like a letter V in the middle of your forehead, very wide, and then down to the ears. And once we do this, we can now, again, erase the circle. And look at this. Just by erasing the circle and the guideline, we've now combined the outside of the hair and the inside. So now we can start shading in this whole design like that. See that? Now, one more style I'm going to show you, and I think this is the end here. Something like Deku with more kind of flowy hair. We can draw the guideline above, and then we can draw some wavy spikes. And just bring it down, and then back here where it goes into the neck, it would just get smaller and smaller. They could be wavy. They can all go down the same direction. It's up to you how you want to draw that. And then across the middle, we're going to put in maybe a big rounded W over one ear. Cut off the edge of the ear. Same thing on the other side, the opposite way. Now from this piece of hair to this one, we just draw some more zigzag lines. And over here, more zigzag lines. And now, when you erase the circle and the guideline, we now have a full set of hair that's over the eyes and the eyebrows, and it kind of covers over the ears. Sorry about that. And then from here, you can start shading in the whole hairstyle, like this. See that? And the back of the hair right here, shade that in also. And there we go, we got our characters drawn. Cool. So let's do this really quickly. If you're done, or if you're not done, that's totally fine. Last few seconds, I'm going to stand right here in front. I'm in the middle of the room here. Go ahead and hold up your drawings and point them towards me. Hold them over your head. Everyone hold your drawings over your head, really high up. As you're holding your drawings up, take a look around. Don't move your paper, but you look around at everyone else's decisions that they made and how all these drawings came out totally, completely different from each other, original, unique, right? This is amazing. So this tells us a few things. We are all capable of drawing anime characters, and we're all capable of designing our own unique anime characters from scratch, right? So this is amazing. Everyone put your drawings down. Give ourselves a round of applause. Great job, everyone. Thank you again so much, everyone. Appreciate it.